So, imagine being called into a police station for an interview. The pressure is intense and you feel every single word you can be used against you. But did you know you have rights that protect you during this whole process? Today, we're going to be breaking down exactly what those rights are and what you need to be aware of if you ever find yourself in this very contentious situation. So first thing, what exactly is a police interview? A police interview is a very formal conversation between a person and the police, primarily conducted to gather evidence. It can occur even after you've been arrested or by an appointment if a police officer wants to speak to you and ask questions about a case they're investigating. So this whole purpose is to obtain information and potentially admissions that can be used in court. It's crucial to understand that from the moment you sit down with police, everything you say and likely will be used to you in court of law. You've heard the phrase, it's true. So what are your rights during this police interview in New South Wales? Let's break them down. Of course, the right to silence. One of the most fundamental rights you have is this right to silence. This means that you are not required to answer any questions during a police interview. You can simply just say no comment to every question posed. This is your legal right, and in most circumstances, it's often the best approach. Why? Because anything you can be used you as evidence against you. Keeping silence sort of prevents this unintentionally providing information that can be used to misinterpret or even twist it. So, this right to refuse, unless you are under arrest, you don't really have to say anything or even participate in the interview. Even if you're under arrest, you can still choose not to participate in the interview. The police may pressure you and may seem like, you have to cooperate, but remember, you have the right to refuse. Now, the right to legal advice. You have the right to contact a lawyer and obtain legal advice before participating in this police interview. It is so crucial. A lawyer can guide you on how to handle the interview and what to expect, ensuring that your rights are protected. So if you're ever in doubt, just ask a lawyer. Do not proceed without speaking to one. The right to an interpreter. If you don't understand English well enough to even just comprehend or participate in the interview, you have every right for an interpreter. This is to ensure that you fully understand the questions being asked and can communicate your responses so clearly. And then the right to a support person. If you are under 18, you have a right to be a support person with you during this whole ordeal. This could be a parent, guardian, or another adult who is there to provide you emotional support. While this whole support person cannot really answer questions for you, they can ensure that you are treated fairly. At any age, you also have the right to contact a friend or family member, although they generally aren't allowed to be in the room during this whole ordeal. So it's important to note that a police interview must be recorded. Usually it's in video form. So this is to ensure that an accurate record of everything said during the process, which is going to be reviewed at court. I'm telling you that. Additionally, police can interview you for a reasonable time, which means it depends on the complexity of your case, the maximum time that you can be detained for the purposes of an investigation is 6 hours. This can be extended if time outs occur, such as bathroom breaks or waiting for legal advice. So let's talk about a very controversial tactic. Can the police lie to you during this whole interview? It actually might surprise you. It is yes. This is in particular New South Wales. They can use various tactics during the interview, including lies and deception to gather evidence or even provoke a convention. However, there are very much limitations. These lies and deceptions, in order to obtain this evidence, if it's improperly or illegally obtained, these may be dismissed. So, Section 138 of the Evidence Act. This provides the courts a very broad discretion to exclude this improper or illegally obtained evidence. For example, if a police officer makes a false statement during your questioning, knowing it's false, and this whole statement is likely to cause the person being questioned to make an admission, this evidence obtained is a result of that admission that could generally be excluded from a trial. This means that while police might lie to you, there are consequences if the deception results in obtaining this evidence unfairly. Similarly, we see the Section 85 of the Evidence Act, which deals with this reliability and admissibility of admissions made by defendants. This section states that an evidence by police is not admissible unless the circumstances in which the admission was made were such to make that unlikely of a truth or an admission was adversely affected. Factors that could impact this reliability of admission including age, personality, education, mental state, and the nature of the questioning itself. So why there's no real strict rules on stopping police from lying during interviews? If the lies or deception leads to an admission, there is a very strong argument that the evidence should be excluded at trial. But what about the undercover police operations? These are things that get police even trickier and laws get muggy. So please undertake covert operations such as undercover work that are not bound by the same rules as police during a formal interview. The nature of these covert operations involves deception, including assuming false identities and pretending to engage in criminal activity. These admissions obtained from such operations are generally admissible in court. For instance, in the case of Tolofi versus the Queen, the High Court has upheld these confessions made to undercover police officers by defendants who were tricked into believing these police officers were part of a criminal gang. Since these admissions did not occur during a formal police interviews, the use of these deceptions was not a barrier to admissibility of evidence. So what should you do if you find yourself in a police interview? Here are some key takeaways. Always exercise your right to silence. It's better to just say no comment than risk saying anything that could be used to misinterpret it or used against you later. Ask for a lawyer immediately. Legal advice is crucial and you should never waive this right. A lawyer can help you navigate the interview and protect your rights. Remember, your rights to an interpreter and a support person. Don't proceed with the interview if you fully don't understand what is happening or if you need a support person that hasn't received it, okay? So be aware of these very crucial police tactics. Understanding that police may use deception during interviews, but again, there are limits to what's legally permissible. If you find yourself in a police interview, remain calm, know your rights, and make informed decisions. Always remember, it's not about cooperating or resisting, it's about protecting yourself and your rights under the law. Thank you for tuning in to Lawishhh. If you have any issues with this kind of topic, if you need further guidance, please leave the comments and I'd love to answer these questions. If you feel like police are leading you somewhere, just call a lawyer. It's free. There are many free legal services out there, from Law Access to Legal Aid to ALS. Just ask. Don't be tricked with their confessions. Don't be tricked by their tactics. Just make sure you get informed, make sure you know your rights, and drop a comment if you have any specific questions, and I'm here to help. I'll see you in the next video.